And we roll right into hour two, right here on the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central. And we will waste no time. We're going to go straight to the phone line as the brand new men's basketball coach at UW Green Bay, Mr. Will Ryan, joins me. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time, man. I know it's been a busy few weeks for you.
Thanks for having me on, Alex. I appreciate your time.
Of course, man. Of course. Anytime. So let's jump right into it. We're about a week and a half removed from the official hiring of you, Coach. What's this last, 10, 12, 14 days been like for you?
It's been an absolute whirlwind.
Yeah.
Everything happened so fast. I've never done speed dating before, but somebody used that term that it's like speed dating because back to back to back to back, you can go on and on about the number of interviews, and it was like a 3-day process where you had to knock out interview after interview. So it was intense, but I'm really glad to be back in the state of Wisconsin.
And we're glad to have you back. Obviously, everybody knows what your dad did. I'm not going to do any dad questions. I'll stay away from those today. We want we want to know about you. So you had your official press conference last week, Thursday, actually just about a week ago as of right now. So how'd that go? What was it like, obviously, being in the presence of everybody you're going to work with in the future and seeing a lot of the media that will be covering you? What was the introductory press conference like for you?
You're not married, are you?
I'm not, no.
You're not? Okay. Well, I liken it to my wedding day.
Okay.
So you can't relate, I guess. But talking to Charles Guthrie, our AD, like we were comparing notes on what it felt like. And he mentioned wedding. I go, that's exactly the way I thought, but I didn't want to say that because I didn't know if anybody else felt the same way. But no, it's just so much, like nervous energy. You're anxious to get going and get through the whole process because I didn't have a press conference when I got the job at Wheeling University in West Virginia. So this is the first time I got to go through that. But no, it went by smoother than I thought it would. And, I enjoyed it. It was great getting to see people, although most people were hiding behind a mask. Because of COVID. Right. So, it's just a different animal trying to deal, with all that stuff. But no, it's getting to meet everybody, see people face to face, because being hired over the phone essentially, and a couple Zoom calls here, it's just uncharted territory.
Yeah, I imagine it's unlike anything you've been through. And you brought up Wheeling, so I'm going to go there. You were hired there July 1st of last year, if I'm not mistaken, and you inherited only 5 players. Is that correct?
That is correct. So 5 guys were returning from the previous coach.
Wow. So that was obviously a little bit different than this, but and I know you were asked this question last week and your response was you got all day. What was that like, kind of overall, that Wheeling experience going in, only having 5 guys when you got the job very late, as I mentioned, July 1st. What was that whole experience like at Wheeling? What did that teach you leading to this job?
Well, it was nerve-wracking in the sense that the school, in the spring had gone through what's called financial exigency. You'll have to look that up because I can't explain it all that well. But it used to be Wheeling Jesuit University, and the Jesuit community moved out. They condensed and cut a lot of classes and majors. And, with that, you lost a lot of students and you lost a lot of student athletes. And the previous coach who was there for 1 year, he decided he had some family stuff going on back in Indiana. He decided to leave as well. So 5 guys that he had recruited decided to stay. And, of those 5, 2 of them were started or played heavy minutes from the year before. So a lot of inexperience there. And, get the job July 1st, you have about 6 weeks to recruit. I was able to bring in 14 new players.
Wow.
And of those 14, there's about 4 or 5 that got into the rotation. 2 of them being, junior college kids that I found late, and they really gave us a boost. And so, you're predicted last in the conference. And I knew we'd be down towards the bottom. I guess I didn't think we'd get, be predicted last, but you meet with the team and you say, hey, they picked us last. You and I both know that's not going to happen. This is the last time we talk about it. So we ended up getting 5th place.
Yeah.
And, we were limited in certain areas. We weren't very big. We had a 7-foot kid, but then after him, we were small.
Right.
So we scrapped, we fought, we clawed like crazy, and loved coaching those kids. I'll always remember them as my first team, and they fought hard.
Will Ryan, the new head men's basketball coach at UW Green Bay, is my guest now. Will, obviously, you coached under Saul Phillips for a long time, if I'm not mistaken, about 12 years between North Dakota State and Ohio. You got some sense of humor from him, is what I hear. Is that correct?
Oh, I cannot top him when it comes to the jokes. I mean, he's full of them, and he's very witty. He can come up with stuff, and you just shake your head at him, and all you can do is laugh.
Love it. So let's talk about the reception in Green Bay. Like I mentioned, it's been about a week and a half. What have the Phoenix fans, probably virtually more so, what has the reception been like?
So far, it's been nothing but positive. I
Good.
mean, I haven't lost the game yet, so everything's great right now. No, I mean, it's crazy because, I've recruited this area and at the various stops I've been at. So a lot of the people that I know, there's so many different connections with, some of these boosters and stakeholders. So you mentioned one name and they're like, oh, I know him. And then your talks get a little more in depth, and it's just crazy how small of a world it is.
Right.
And I think that's really going to help, our program, bringing everybody back and then get them invested again in Green Bay basketball.
Right, and you mentioned it. I mean, we know it's a fact. Attendance has been declining at the Resch Center, and obviously a new coach is going to bring some life. I want to ask one more question about the interview process. It came to light that Mark Murphy, the president of the Packers, was a part of that. What was that like, speaking with him in the last round of interviews?
To be totally honest with you, I was kind of shocked that I was going to be on the call with him. And, leading up to it, I think it was like 4:30 in the afternoon was my call with him. And I'm just thinking, all right, he's going to be, hey, good luck to you. Hope you get the job, go Pack, go. And then that was going to be it.
Yeah.
Well, he was so down to earth, and just, it couldn't have been a nicer gentleman. And I could have talked to him for hours. Just really personable, really, really likable. And then he was at the press conference too, so I got to talk to him some more. But no, it was a great vibe on the phone, and I was really impressed.
So I am going to ask a dad question, but it's about him being a dad, not the former coach, as well as your mom, your wife, and your 3 sons. When you knew that this job was yours, what were those conversations like with all of them?
With my family?
Yes.
My wife and kids?
Yeah.
It was, my wife is like me. Like, we could not sleep, during the interview process, and just, waking up at 5 and it's like, all right, time to get going today. And, I'm on the phone all day long with people and pacing around the house, got my steps up like big time on my watch. But, no, we didn't say anything to my sons at first, but when it was, starting to come into fruition, you're like, okay, we got to let them know that, hey, I'm interviewing, and this really could happen.
Yeah.
And they were all just ecstatic.
Good.
They were, there's a little bit of mixed emotions. Like, they got to leave some brand new friends, and, but only being there for a year, we weren't quite entrenched in Wheeling quite yet. So, we're still going to go back there. We got to get our house in order. They'll get to say goodbye to their friends. But, my boys they've been great through all this.
Awesome.
They're at an age now, I think they understand it. And my wife, she's been amazing. She's a champion. She's a saint. So
good to hear all that. Let's get into the basketball stuff, my friend. Will Ryan, the head coach of men's basketball at Green Bay, is my guest. A lot of your guys are coming back. You're not going to have the wheeling issue in Green Bay. Have you talked? I'm assuming you've talked to your team, and what have those conversations been like with some of those guys?
The conversations so far have been nothing but positives. You know, that's kind of your worst fear as a coach when you're taking over a new gig. You know, you got to worry about roster retention, and you don't want a mass exodus because sometimes kids don't give you a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, I've seen it that way. Well, I've had a couple Zoom calls. I've talked with some of the upper class. Well, I've pretty much talked to everybody by now, or at least texted. But the guys have been nothing but great. They're excited. They're ready to go. And, they can't wait till we can finally get back in the gym if and when that ever happens. Right. So, no, it's been nothing but positive.
And to talk about, offensive schemes, obviously a lot of these guys that are returning are used to the up-tempo ball that Link Darner coach. So how is kind of transitioning from his style to yours going to work? Do you think that's going to be a struggle, or is it something you guys are going to work on and be able to iron out pretty quickly?
I think as long as these guys bring the right frame of mind and they're good listeners and quick learners, I don't think we'll have a problem at all. I told them, I said, hey, we can score in the 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't care, just as long as we're taking care of the ball. We're taking high percentage shots, multiple pass possessions, no zero pass possessions, one pass possession. It's a team game, and, we all need to be on the same page. And if we share the ball, we're all going to get our shots. So, sometimes shots not falling. Okay, well, they've shown that they're really good at attacking the rim. Well, let's get to the free throw line. The outside shot's not falling, and you got to play to your personnel. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some really good pieces there. And I want to expand their games, and I really think that some of these kids can really blossom in our system.
Last one for you, Coach. Obviously, I mentioned the declining attendance. Obviously, this brings some excitement to Green Bay. What is your message to Phoenix Nation as we assume we head towards the start of the season here in a few months?
I just ask that they be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, but there was work being done every day, is what I say. And right. I think once they. Once these kids get together, we're playing for a few months, they're just going to see the development and growth. And, I think once they see that and they stay patient with us, it's really going to take off. And I think they're going to like the product we put on the court.
Love it. That's Coach Will Ryan, the new men's basketball coach at UW Green Bay. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. Safe travels to you, and look forward to seeing you on the court.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you having me on.
Of course, anytime. Line's always open. That's Coach Will Ryan at UW Green Bay joining us on the Alex Strouf Show. Really excited for him to get started. I mean, that was where I got my start, as we've mentioned a couple times throughout here. The first credential I was ever given was UW Green Bay men's basketball. So to see him come in here, and obviously the guy's fired up, great energy, great youth, and he knows his stuff. So really excited to see what comes from him. We've got 4 o'clock headlines on the other side. We're going to take a timeout. This is the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.